No need to stress. We have the couch for you with Dr. Pez.
Dr. Pez, I have some problems. As Martin says, I'm always got these mental issues with me, I am especially in fantasy. And the one that has been bothering me recently is the fine wine out in Seattle. I heard it was going to be the year to buy the Seattle wine, the particular Charbonneau or Charbonnet. I gave it a little taste. It's a bit sour. What's the issue here?
He's just not as good as Ken Walker. Simple. Simple as you watch a Seahawks game and you watch Ken do what he does, and then you watch Zach do what he does, and you see there's a stark difference. Zach's a good running back,
Right.
but there's a stark difference between great and good. So, just quick
Is
example.
Charbonnet a second round running back? Is he of that level, or did the Seahawks do a swing and miss?
Pete Carroll did a swing and miss for some daft reason because you had Ken Walker already. Like, it made zero sense. Zach Charbonnet can do some stuff, but for me, the thing is, right, in Zach Charbonnet's good games, he gets going in the fourth quarter. So the first 2 weeks when Ken were out, well, the second 2 weeks, 22 and 34 points. That's great, but he didn't really do all that much until later in the game because he's a big body running back. So he'd probably wear teams out more physically than like Ken. He's more elusive, slick, bounces to the outside. But the stark differences in the Rams game, I think it was, Ken, like, he'd bounce into a wall of his own old lineman because they're shite and can't create a gap. But then he'd bounce and then create his own shit. Zach Charbonnet bounced and then almost tried to bury into the pile. But there's a body of like 10 men all mashed together and he just tries to nestle himself in. Like, bust it out to the outside. Like, unless Ken gets injured, where he's staying healthy this year, this is probably his first year where he's kept himself pretty clean. I can't see Charbonnet being relevant at all.
So we have Dr. Pez's analysis here. Nurse Martin, what are your thoughts?
I think Pez has it on the nail on the head. He did. You know what else as well? It's been good for Ken Walker this year as well. He's getting receptions now. You know, he's getting the receptions, but it's just that just takes him even further away. So yeah, I agree with everything Pez said. I just think he's that much better that he's just going to be on the field all the time. I've been called worse.
And Ken Walker, I know people might say it's biased, but unless you watch Seahawks games, where the offense is clicking, and just watch him, he is by far one of the best running backs in this league, by far. When he's actually,
see, that's what I think.
Yeah. Okay.
See, I think like this guy, he might just be a better player than he's a fantasy player. But see, when I watch Zay Flowers, I'm just like, this guy, he's eventually going to have to be a fantasy stud because he's so good. Like, surely, eventually, it's going to click in fantasy for him as well.
He might need to move. He might need to get more, more of a pocket passing quarterback. Who's got a bit more touch? One of the older guys who stands there and just finesses the ball a little bit, whereas Lamar's always bouncing around on his bullshit, running around and that. And Zay might not do that, but the way he kills defenders on the line, like, they have no chance whatsoever. Like, it's 2 steps and he's just fucking... He's got 10 yards on the closest defender. He's ridiculous, like, how good he is. But, yeah.
So is the Zay Flowers analysis from Nurse Martin, the fantasy expert, or Martin Haldane, the Ravens fan?
Well, that's what I'm saying. See, in fantasy, he's not like, you've got these upper wide receivers. He isn't one of them. But see, for me, on the pitch, he is an upper class wide receiver. He's one of those players where he is as good, in my opinion. He is elite. He is going to be there, but it's whether or not he's going to be that in fantasy. Because I think the problem is some games he only gets like 4 targets, and you need more than 4 targets to put up with points. So.
Well, I appreciate the soothing. You make me feel much
this
better.
This year he's wide receiver 9, so he's kind of showing it there. Like it's like Ken. I had an argument with my mate who he doesn't watch like. We go to the bar every Sunday nearly and watch Red Zone and stuff, but he doesn't watch like full games or stuff like that and things like that. So, like we're in a couple of leagues, Martin. Like Johnny knows full well if I'm in a league, Ken Walker's mine. Like I'll take him in the first. It's outrageous. Like I'll skip everyone. I'll take him in the first if I have to. If I'm in a league with Johnny and he has the better snake, like in the snake, if he's got the better side to me, I'll take Ken in the first just so he can't get him. Like it's simple. Like, and that is
all right.
A lot of bias because of
I'm
talking about Ken Walker here.
Walker loves this. I'm starting to feel a bit ill again. I have other issues to talk about.
The Cowboys.
How crazy am I, Nurse Martin, Dr. Pez? How crazy am I to think the Steelers have fantasy relevant players and can actually end up being a number 1 seed or even a team to beat the Chiefs? How crazy am I? Am I going fanatical here?
I think Pickens and Najee are the two. Pat at tight end, if it's the right matchup, you could stick him in, but those are the only two I'd be interested in is Pickens and Najee.
And
Pickens, top 10 wide receiver in fantasy?
No. I think on the right weeks, he can be a top 5 guy on the right weeks, but I don't think he'll be a top 10 guy like
consistently.
In total.
Pez, Dr. Pez?
Yeah, I think the more Russ gets comfortable in this team, then if you've got Pickens, you want to feel comfortable with yourself, Najee. If you've got Jalen Warren, when Najee went out for a couple he looks just ready to go and rip it. Like, if I was a Najee manager, I'd be concerned because...
Has Najee missed time this year?
No, in this game, he went down with a suspected ankle injury, and Jalen Warren came in for a couple of series, and he was just like a bowling ball, like electric. I'd just be a bit concerned because the Steelers, the way they are, they'll slow the game down like they do. Like everyone knows how Tomlin likes to play it. They'll start using both of them again, and it might start eating into each other in a fantasy relevance. But Mike Williams, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, like especially in Orkney scoring, you got to be confident if you're one of the managers of them players. Because like Mike Williams, 1 target, 1 reception for a touchdown, outscored some other wide receivers yesterday. Some other wide receivers you would actually start as well. What's fucking insane.
Right.
But it's all on Russ. Russ gets comfortable and he's happy. You can see it. Like, he didn't want to go Denver. It's a different conversation. This didn't want to go Denver. He was fucking miserable. Look at him at the Steelers. He's like his old self again. Like, if I was a Steelers fan, I'd be very confident in the season going forward.
They're looking good. They're solid. Okay, we will take this from Johnny in the booth, and we will let Nurse Martin go first here because you have such soothing words and a nice soothing voice. Best rookie running back thus far.
I'm actually having a mind blank of the rookie running backs that are actually starting right now.
Ray Benson, just to let you know, has been starting to produce the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think he had 10 plus points this week, which is not bad as a backup to Connor in Arizona. We have Jonathan Brooks. We have Braylon Allen.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. Actually, I forgot. Yeah. See, Bucky Irvin. He's the one I'd go for. I watched him last night, and remember Tony Pollard at the Cowboys before he got injured. Mind they had that, and everyone was like, right, he has to get more time. He needs to replace Zeke. That's what Bucky Irvine reminds me of this season. He's just got so much juice. He is the guy. That's the one I would probably pick, actually, just because he reminds me of that Tony Pollard season.
Pez, you have an opinion here, Dr.
Yeah,
Pez?
Bucky Irving, but Tyrone Tracy, the way he's been playing these last couple of weeks, he could catch him by the end of the year. But for now, it's got to be Bucky Irving, the way he's established himself.
If I was doing a dynasty draft today, how crazy am I to go in this order? Trey Benson, Braylon Allen, Tyrone Tracy.
I just see the thing with Benson. Connor is that good. He is that offense. He's that whole offense. Like, he is not going to. That's Connor's job to lose because he is the offense now. Unless he suddenly goes off a cliff, he will always be plan one in that team.
The thing, I do understand where you're coming from,
Connor's
Paul.
another guy I've written on 3 years ago.
I do understand where you're coming from, Paul, because Trey Benson yesterday, and Trey Benson these last couple of games has looked everything like you were expecting to come out of college. And we were all expecting by now Connor to be injured. But Connor just looks like a man possessed this year. And I cannot see Trey Benson taking anything away from him except for injury. But Connor just looks like he's on a roll at the moment. So him, Braylon Allen, no. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Pez. Dr. Pez. I apologize, Doc. Which running back is the biggest surprise? Tyrone Tracy or Braylon Allen?
Tyrone Tracy.
Really? Okay. There's Martin.
I don't watch college football at all, but I'd just through things like podcasts and stuff, I'd at least heard of Braylon Allen. I'd never heard anything about a guy called Tyrone Tracy. So it's definitely him for me.
I was picking up Eric Gray thinking he's going to be the guy. And how wrong was I?
But everyone on depth charts and stuff before the season said that Eric Gray was meant to be the guy. And Tyrone Tracy's just beat everyone out. Like, when you beat a veteran like Singletary out and then okay backup like Eric Gray, you know the guy is legit. And he puts up, obviously for us in fantasy, he's putting the points up. So, yeah.
And, particularly this year, with so many injuries, the guys we're talking about here in the last few minutes, even Edric Esteem, or Estemi, I'm not sure how he pronounces his name. I would say Esteem. Those type of guys are going to decide championships with the injuries we have. I mean, Javonte Williams has turned into a nobody, right? I mean, Singletary has done nothing. And all the other injuries that has been in the NFL. So, Nurse Martin, I know that you also had mentioned that perhaps you have some things troubling you. Do you have a question for Dr. Pez?
Yeah, there is one. So right now, my tactic is I've got so many backup running backs on my bench right now. And the other thing I've got two Green Bay wide receivers. I've got Wicks and I've got Watson. And eventually, when my team finally gets healthy, I'm going to have to pick between Watson and Wicks. And the reason why I've got them both is because their end-of-year schedule is really good for wide receivers. So which one, because I know I'm going to drop the wrong one. Which one would you keep, Watson or Wicks? When it comes to, I'm not saying right now, but I'd say in a couple of weeks, maybe next week, depending on my IR, I'm going to have to probably drop one of these boys. And I'm not needing them for right now. It's for the last 4 games of the season, I think it is. They've got a really good schedule for wide receivers.
I'm just looking now.
That's a tough one.
I think...
Because, see, before, I was leaning Wicks just because he gets more targets. But the last 2 weeks, Watson's actually had more targets. So I'm just like, what the hell do you do?
So, it's so hard because they're ranked exactly the same. The only thing I'd say with it is Watson is consistently on the field, like snap percentage-wise. You can't really separate them. Wicks has the big blow-up games. Watson has the big, the steady games.
That's right.
But when you look at snap percentage, Watson is on the field more than Wicks. So Wicks is like almost like a boom or bust. Watson has a bit of a steady points. If it's just a flex guy you're talking, and I just don't know. I really like Christian Watson. I feel like he might not be getting the targets as much because of all the injuries he's had. So whilst they don't need to use him, they're kind of just, balancing him out. So I'd lean towards Watson.
Oh, well, there you go.
But
Yeah,
now Paul said
4
that.
and 6
maybe
owners giving advice to the 9 and 0.
See,
Do you know what it is?
see the thing
Do
is,
you know what it is?
I go towards Watson as well, but I'm just like, I'm just going to drop the wrong. And to be fair, this is one of these things. This is a championship flex play. Like, this is like, okay, I'm in the playoffs. And I just think, I know he's like, these are like the wide receiver 3 guys, but I think because of the guys they're playing, I think they're going to have good flex weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe you could trade Wicks for another backup running back. Who knows?
Well, I've already got. Well, this is what I'm saying. I'm playing the injury game right now because look, if one of these Green Bay guys goes down, Watson and Wicks, they're going to get so much more volume. And I think I've got 3 or 4 backup running backs. So if any of these running backs go down, I'm going to have a number 1 running back as well.
So
I love Reed, and did you know that Johnny is a huge fan of Jalen Reed? He has a signed jersey.
Oh,
yeah, of Jalen Reed. That's pretty cool. I like that. Anyway, Johnny, I think we have received the advice of Dr. Pez. Thank you, Doc. I feel much better. And thank you for coming in my time of need, Nurse Martin.
you're welcome.
Very soothing with your words.
I'll come tuck you into bed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Don't forget the milk and cookies, please. or some whiskey, whatever.
A Bloody Mary.